We've had, in part thanks to the stimulus dollars that were available in the 2009 Recovery Act, we've had a significant investment made by hospitals in particular, but providers across the spectrum in electronic medical records. And I'm curious how, whether the ROI has been there for the operators and what the future opportunities are to leverage that technology.
So, I mean, we've spent a fortune on it. Our maintenance CapEx and OpEx this year for our IT is approaching $100 million.
That's for a system with roughly 3,000 beds?
Roughly 3,000. We do a little over 100,000 inpatient discharges, 110,000 inpatient discharges. But a lot of our IT systems is driven around the care management component. So let me tell you what IT does well and what IT does poorly. What IT does well is the insurance side of the world, claims management, right? Once you get to the claims and once you file a claim, the insurance company is very good and has the IT platforms to tell you with this age and with this demographic, with your first presentation of congestive heart failure, this is what your future looks like, and this is what we need to do. It does an okay job of managing a physician's practice. What it does an awful job is in correlating care data to claims data to create an entire continuum so that you can plan your care based around your care data, not your claims data. And those are the big voids. And a lot of those voids are become more problematic with HIPAA. You know, unless you have a fully employed physician model, and I mean fully employed physician model, it's hard to get into the individual servers and tie them all together to one aggregate database. And those are the kind of things that we're struggling with and that don't really occur, don't really exist in the industry. Apart from that, I don't want you to think that the business intelligence that exists for healthcare, it's 30 years behind the rest of the world. It's actually pitiful, the basic IT that exists for hospitals. I mean, if you guys saw it who are used to manufacturing, I mean, you'd vomit. It's so bad.
Don't do that right before lunch, please.
Yeah, I think the technology is crucially important to better manage care for the patient. Okay, so that's the ultimate ROI: is how does this affect patient care? The systems themselves are they're great at collecting massive amounts of data. How you tease the meaningful information out of it. I mean, we've been investing in a number of entities that are involved in predictive analytics, looking for those patterns and those cues so that we could actually extract more value out of the data that we collect. But more important than the technology is also changing the workflow, how our clinicians use this. I mean, when we convert, I can generally tell when we've put up a facility or another part of the organization on the system, because my phone will light up with people 24 hours a day wanting to tell me where they are while they're waiting for something to happen. It is incredibly disruptive to the routine of what are basically professionals. So the technology is an element. It's going to help a great deal, but we're going to have to change the way we work and how we approach our tasks in order to really maximize the value of it. But right now it is providing much better insights into care management than we had before on paper.
Gary, you've got hundreds of thousands of pieces of equipment out in the field in thousands of hospitals and patient rooms and ORs. How is that equipment integrating with the investments that the providers have made in information technology?
Yeah, there's a concept called ICD-10, which is how you get reimbursed. And I get too deep into it, but to make a long story short, to get reimbursed, your equipment's going to have to talk directly to the electronic medical record going forward. And that's a huge challenge for providers going forward, to get that equipment talking, to the electronic medical record in an effective fashion. Right now, the equipment's pretty sophisticated. A hospital bed today can tell you if a patient is starting to move around like they're going to exit the bed. If it's an 85-year-old lady that has osteoporosis, you want to be there to help her out of bed so she doesn't fall. It can also tell you that that patient hasn't moved for 2 hours, and maybe you need to turn that patient to make sure they don't get bed sores. So as this information continues to be integrated, just building on the point that you made, it's going to require that hospitals change their processes and workflows and use the information effectively. our observation is we're not at that stage yet where we're taking information and making it useful and then getting repeatable action from that. We're still in the gathering and reporting phase. And so if you talk to frontline caregivers, and we spend a lot of time with nurses and doctors, they would tell you that it hasn't improved their life yet. And that's going to be the key. When they start saying that it's improving what they do, making them more efficient, letting them provide better care, that's when we'll know the investment's paying off.
Well, and let me let you know, it's bimodal, guys. It completely depends with the age of the provider. I mean, I wish it could be different, but you know, in our physicians, when we roll out EHR or any IT integrated platform, if they're 35 and younger, it's like my kids. It's incredible. They just pick it up and run with it. If they're over the age of 55, they make it their mission in life to torture you as much as they feel tortured by the IT you've given them. And they never pick it up. And the real sad thing is what you were saying. It hits their productivity so hard. These are people who have spent 25 years streamlining their practice on paper, and everything they do is choreographed to maximize productivity. And all of a sudden, you have a computer in front of them, and most of them can't type, and they hate you.
Yeah, we budget in our physician practices in particular when we are converting about a 20% immediate reduction in productivity. You know, it'll ramp back up, but it takes a while. But you know, a lot of these folks are compensated on their professional production, and it's a very large dissatisfier. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we've actually gone to putting full-blown SWAT teams in. We had SWAT teams that go in and usually used to teach people how to do the IT. Now they spend one day doing IT and 4 or 5 days teaching them how to restructure the workflow in their practice so that they don't take as much of a hit. And there are other physicians who've experienced this that just literally go around now and tell me, no, you don't put the patient chart there anymore. This is who enters the data. It's all very, very different.